The ministry has fallen. They're coming. The new ministry approved Azkaban as a holding place for all those who were not Muggle-born or were considered mudbloods. Squibs have been told to be on high alert for the mistakes that are being made. The Dementors were not prepared for the first arrival of new prisoners yesterday, and there were tents with access to restrooms set up, but the actual holding cells themselves are not prepared. Karkaroff has agreed to open up a ancient wizarding prison as well that was used during the first rise of Voldemort. The ministry has completed turning over all flags to the new creed, and all Ministry of Magic employees that did not work directly in pureblood fields have been put on administrative leave. Arthur Weasley has been joined by multiple people from the Order and has taken to the streets in all 50 states and has began to assemble rooms of requirement meetups, as well as connecting the Dumbledore's army members to the former Orders of the Phoenix. Death Eaters continue to wage attack on all those who were not born in magic families, and Muggle-borns have been rounded up in cities for the last 2 weeks. Many rooms of requirement have already been shut down, and Dumbledore's armies are expected and needing to be continually moving their locations. Umbridge's degrees have now taken place in schools across the entire nation, and any of those who stand for Dumbledore and the empire of education he represented will be forcibly removed from the schools. Loyalty and obedience to this new ministry is above all. And as Lucius Malfoy, Voldemort, and Umbridge continue to gain the forces of the Death Eaters who promised they would show back up if Voldemort was ever back in power, we have seen a gathering of forces unlike we have seen before. We know they are using tools that they did not have before. The Order has released a list of Horcruxes that have great deals of power but can be dismantled by the Resistance with enough intentional focus. Wands need to be ready. The Quibbler was given 2 weeks to move out of their location 13 days ago, and the National News Organization will be going into place soon. The new ministry will align themselves with the Muggle News and continue to suppress the work of Dumbledore's army and the Order of the Phoenix across the country. We have seen a phenomenal gathering of centaurs. Hagrid has continued his journeys to gather those who believe in the forest and the magic that it holds, and the humanity that it has always housed and protected. We continue to get word that the safe houses at this time will continue to be marked with rainbows, but you must solemnly swear that you are up to no good. All those who have not officially been told that you are a wizard, this For You page and this algorithm is the magic that let you know that you're a wizard. We need you to show up to your first Dumbledore's Army class. We know that moving staircases are difficult. We understand that the passwords are difficult to remember, but the first years can do it and you can too. We understand our loudest voices will continue to be suppressed because the noise of what's happening in the world continues to rise. This new ministry does not want to see the gathering of what is now considered 6 or more in most states, former Dumbledore's army members as well as former Orders of the Phoenix. If they see gatherings of 6 or more and any crime breaks out in that vicinity, multiple states would like to treat that as if they themselves are leading a rebellion. Be careful when gathering. We have also been told, do not touch the bricks. If there are bricks, do not touch the bricks. This is coming directly from our members of the Dumbledore's Army who are speaking and gathering and connecting rooms of requirement across the country. Remember, there are Umbridges in your school and there are Death Eaters at the helm, and that the goal of the ministry schools are to create the ministry army. Adding to the list of both giants and werewolves who will be erased from history, we are seeing specific and intentional deletion of the rise of house elves and any of the history on how they were able to overcome their own enslavement. Those who continue to own house elves, as well as those whose family owned house elves in our new ministry, these Death Eaters who believe in this generational way of greatness, continue to intentionally silence these voices and imprison those who show characteristics of house elf-bornness. Understand so many of our magical creatures cannot change the way they are received and perceived. Their very existence is now in danger, for they cannot cloak it. If you have an invisibility cloak and that is within your home or your room of requirement, please allow those magical creatures to utilize that cloak of invisibility. Very few families who are not purebloods have ever been allowed to even own an invisibility cloak, let alone be able to use that to be able to help those who were once enslaved by them. Use all tools at your disposal, especially if you've had generations to gather them. The ministry has fallen, and the Death Eaters will continue to silence those who at one point stood for the magical freedom of all. Find the rainbows and invisibility cloaks. Do not touch the bricks. The ministry has fallen, but Hogwarts is our home. You're a wizard, Harry.